Unfortunately, I'm gonna be the hater on this card. I honestly, I do hate cards like these.
80% of the people were playing the same freaking deck.
Welcome to WWB Worldwide Broadcast. And this is episode 38. And we are here with Billy Hughes, as always, and another special guest, KC. KC is back. Hello, KC. How are you doing?
Good, yeah.
I heard you hit some crazy polls, KC. I was kind of curious if maybe you wanted to tell us what you hit. I know the Discord has already seen it, but we were always happy to see it too on our podcast.
Right, yep. The mother of all polls.
Shiny.
There you go. It's in the frame there. I like that. Yeah. So the foil creator. I know it's a crazy poll, but I've seen a lot of people. You know, I seen in the Discord. They're like, here, I need a creator, and things. And Casey's over here pulling the foil one. So yeah, it's a very sought after card. I know I watched a new guy, FaZe. Yeah.
Get out of here, dude. Go away.
Okay.
Hey, so you can trade one to me, right?
So yeah, so what Casey's saying is he has all your creators, and I was gonna send everyone Casey's way because the two creators I pulled that were regular, I'd trade mine away to help people finish theirs. So you know what, Casey, it's your turn now to go help all those people finish their 150s.
You did that all yourself, bud.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm sure he'll get a ton of value from it. So, but either way, we got Casey on.
Yep.
Sorry, what were you saying, Billy?
I was just saying, just give him a couple holy lights. That's all he wants.
Oh,
yeah, right. I'm a sucker for Holy Light.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, hey, it's a good card, and I don't blame you for wanting to have it. And with that, we'll move ahead, though. We do. I want to shout out. We have a couple upcoming tournaments that I want to talk about to make sure we get it in there. Well, not really tournaments. First, we have the Twin Cons, which is going on right now. The ward staff is there. It's kind of their premier con, they would say. And from what it seems, it's the first day right now. So if you still want to get in, or if you haven't bought tickets yet, I'm sure you can still buy tickets for. Is it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Is it a 3-day event? I'm sorry, I guess I don't know. Do you guys know?
It's a 3-day.
3-day event, so you can.
I think it's a 3-day.
So you can still get Saturday and Sunday tickets and go if you're in the area, if you're really close by, and looks like they're handing out promo cards. You can play against the ward staff and all those fun things. And I mean, from what it looks like, it seems like they're giving out remastered cards, which a lot of people are have been thinking a lot about. So I'm sure that'll kind of lead into our remastered talk that we got going on. But again, if you want to get out to TwinCon and go see the ward staff there, we also have a tournament here in Duluth for the Hobby Town, I guess, Crack Pack tournament, and that is on the 16th, which is, I'm pretty sure, a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And
it's a Sunday.
Yep. And basically, yeah, it's a store that I don't think has really promoted Ward yet so far, so it should be a kind of a new experience for maybe some people who go to that LSG, and basically they're gonna do a crack pack to kind of kick off Ward in the store there. So I'm sure a lot of us will make it out to it. I know I'm gonna try to make it out of it. KC is also in the area; he'll make it out to it. Billy, any chance you're coming down for the crack pack? Or I guess up.
Nah, dog.
Nah. No, you have Curious Crow now. It seems like Tristan at Curious Crow, he's been throwing on event after event for you. So you got plenty of events there. And I think, it's always good to have those guys that are kind of stepping up and being like, hey, I'm going to throw on, events, as many events as I can. And I think Curious Crow is one of those staple stores, I would say, that's really promoting Ward. And so any store that joins and helps out with that, I think we all really appreciate that a lot. And so again, those are just a couple shout outs of tournaments coming up. I guess we should dive into first our fall league. I always like to do our little check-in. So for that, guys, if you want to maybe pass around just kind of your experiences, things you've been liking about the fall league, things maybe not like so much, and maybe we'll just all go around and maybe do one of each. One thing that we like about the league, and one thing maybe we could get changed a little bit. Maybe KC. We'll start off with you.
It's
Sure. Yeah. I love the fall. I like the leagues on Untap. I think my favorite thing about them is like every week is a different format. That's just super fun. It just brings out a lot of creativity. Something, gives you like something to think about and building decks in unique different ways that you just wouldn't otherwise just playing standard all the time. So I think that, yeah, that's definitely my most favorite thing about it. I don't know. I love playing Ward so much. I don't know if there's really something I don't like about it.
That's okay. You can say.
If I'm forced to pick something I don't like, I wish we had more games.
I know you're just trying to butter us up because it's our league. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to say anything critical to us, even though because we're sitting right here. I'm sure behind it when he's not talking to me and Billy. I'm sure he's just like, oh, this and this and this. And I'm kidding, but yeah, I agree with you. I think that's kind of the whole point of it. Is like here, let's have games for people to play. Let's people play Ward. How about for you, Billy?
Yeah,
Oh, got a little more,
oh,
Casey.
yeah. I was just gonna say, how I said I like the different formats. I like it just, forcing to think outside the box. Leads you into playing, probably like a few different cards that you just don't normally play, and just because of the format, certain cards might turn out to be exceptionally good, which is kind of cool. So it's just, yeah, I like that aspect of it. It's fun being able to do that.
So this week was Singleton. Was this your first time playing a Singleton Ward game?
Uh, it Yes, it is Singleton week, and I have not played my game yet this
Oh
week. I'm
no, he
playing it
hasn't got the game
tomorrow.
in yet. But that will be your
I'm
first
playing
sing.
it.
Will that be your first like Singleton Ward game?
It will be, yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about that? Because I know like with Magic, I know you come from the Magic background. Like obviously there's Commander, but like having like a deck of 30 cards with only one copy of each card. What's your thought about that?
Right now in Ward, I'd say, I mean, I'm fine with it because like I said, I've done that in Magic for a lot of years. For Ward right now, it's a little bit limiting just because there's only two sets of Ward out right now, so your card pool's not huge. I feel like there's just going to be kind of a lot of overlap. People using the same, at least like, I don't know, 7 to 10 cards will just kind of be in almost everybody's deck just because they're generically that good.
Hmm.
But as the game, more sets come out, game gets bigger. Singleton just turns into a massively crazy variety of stuff. Like it'll only get better and crazier as we get more sets.
Hmm. No, for sure. All right, Billy. We'll pass it on to you. How's your experience with the league, the fall league?
it's good. I host it and I play in it too. And I think my favorite part is I think my favorite part of the league is just getting people from all over the country to play in a you know a kind of like a tournament. It's a very stretched out tournament. Just getting people to play in a tournament together from all over the country. I know there's a lot of people who they don't have a lot of people in their area to play, so getting to play with folks kind of all over the map is a lot of fun. And yeah, I like the different formats too. I tried to keep it a little bit more standard on the first league we did, and this time I now changing up every week, and so I think it's been a huge success. I like it a lot. We have more people this round, and I'm still getting people saying, "Hey, yeah, I want to join the next league." It's like great,
Oh
we'll
yeah.
probably do it again.
Yeah, no, I find it a lot of times people are like, oh, like first I'm like, here, this is, this thing exists. Like, would you want to sign up for it? Like, I've been trading with a lot of people, trying to, get cards or whatever. And every time I trade, I'm just like, hey, is this something you'd be interested in playing online? And they're like, yeah. And then I think the one barrier to entry that I feel like a lot of people have is just like, oh, how do I get started? What is Untap? Those kind of questions. And so it's like, going forward, I
Yeah,
kind of want to make my own videos, and I know you've already got videos too, Billy, to help people out. But it's like, here, get these resources out to make it not so, I would say scary for people, maybe, or whatever the word is, to be like, here, it's not that intimidating. So why don't we help you, with those hard things that might be stopping you from playing online? Because I think that is the one thing is a lot of people like, I've never used this Untap, and I don't really know how to use it, and I'm worried that I have to, figure it out or whatever without having help. So, but no,
For sure.
is there any negative that, or not negative, but is there any things that you're thinking that could use improvement, Billy? As the one throwing it on.
Um, I yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think different. The next time we do it, like to have even more creative formats, and then also, some more unique prizes. Like maybe we get some promo cards in there or something. This time. So the first time we did it, the prizes were just the first, second, third, and the last place. I really like the last place prize. It's a bit different. Um, and then we're having the last place prize this time as well. First, second, and third will get cash prizes, and then also everyone participating will get a randomized first edition Gen One card. So I'll be mailing those out at the end of the term, or I guess at the end of the league. So everyone gets something. So I like that aspect of it. So maybe we change that up next time. I don't know. Find out.
Yeah, but like you said, just always having some kind of like fresh thing to it, so it's like, oh yeah, people, even if they're been doing it a while or if they're new to it, it's like here, there's something to look forward to, and I think like you said, you do a very good job with that, and obviously, if I'm to jump to my topic or my what I would say is like great about the league, I mean, there's a couple things, first, I love that the ward staff gets involved. Both times we've done the league now, we've had a ward member in the league. Last time was Tommy, this time's Marty. And like you said, it's just letting the community have these opportunities to, have conversations with them, interact with them, do all these things like you said, and then on top of that, just have all these promotional things to go along with it to kind of like keep bolstering ward and letting it grow and grow and grow, and those kind of things I would say is like one of the bigger things that I really appreciate, because I think about it, it's just like it's nice to see that the ward staff love to play the game and are willing to be a part of the community and just joining in, and I think like it just again makes it so it's like, oh, even for new players, it's like I really like that, it's like I can meet them, I can talk to them, I can get my questions across, and I just think it's something you don't really see in other games. So it's like that's honestly one of the biggest things for this ward, for our leagues going forward. And I think having the ward staff continue to keep joining if they can, because I know they also really do love playing their game. So it's like we're giving them the opportunity too, and it's kind of the surprise that I wasn't really expecting when we started making the league, is that the ward staff would kind of join in. I guess one other thing I want to say for like a good thing is I also get to make a lot of more content because of the league, and I think that's really fun. And I've been having a good time with this second season too. I've kind of changed up the way I do it, so hopefully those videos that I'm making are a little more like helpful for people when they're like, ooh, I know. A big question is like deck building. A lot of people are like, oh, how do I build a deck? What's a good way to build a deck? And basically I'm started to kind of like deep dive my decks that I build, and hopefully that'll kind of inspire people to like build off of those ideas, and try out new decks and try out new ideas and kind of understand how ward kind of functions. So there we go. Those are the two things that I think I really enjoy about the league. And then with improvement, I would say I like the draw system. I do find it. I don't know. I do worry a little bit. Maybe it will run into some complications, because I understand people are busy schedules and things, and it's hard to find time. And I do know that I've talked to a couple people, and it's like, yeah, they just really wish they could get that game in every week, and it's just like to kind of have it where it's like, oh yeah, unfortunately, like we don't really have a great way of like, what do we do if people can't get a game in? And it's like I don't know if there's really like a solve to it yet, or like if we can maybe think of something. But I guess that's one thing that maybe comes to my mind, is just like it does feel a little bad when somebody like is looking forward to that week, and then they're like trying to communicate to the other person, and they're just like, hey, my schedule's busy, we can't really play, and so it's like obviously I know it's like inevitable. It's like how do you? Everyone's got their lives, everyone's got their schedules, but obviously if there's one thing I could kind of like mitigate, it would be that. It would be like, oh yeah, I wish everybody got to play a game every week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm open to suggestions. I obviously want to make it fair for everybody. So if you got an idea, I'm open to it.
Yeah, and like you said, I think the draw system is you know it works for now, and it's just like I just think it's one of those things that it's like, oh, if we ever could improve the league, I think that's maybe one of those categories that we could go to. But anyway, that's kind of the overall view of the league. I mean, I played my singleton game just a little bit ago. Got Mish beat me in the finals in the last season, and she continues her streak and smacked me down in singleton. So I'm feeling the burn. So I'm gonna need to come back and get her back
She
when I get to play her
she
next.
she's your untapped kryptonite, man. Like,
Dude,
oh
I
my gosh.
swear I've played her in untapped tournaments too and things. She beats me more than most people, I will say. Billy's also one of those ones. Billy's always the guy that somehow he's just he comes out and beats me, and then he's like, "Here, let me show you my deck," and then I'm just like, "Oh, I feel like this guy just drew into everything he needed," and it's like, "God dang!" But nah, he's a good ward player. I won't lie, he's a good ward player. But yeah. Anyway, love the fall league, and love to talk about it, you know, as it keeps progressing and going through it. Like I said, it's something I look forward to. I'm sure you guys also just look forward to in your week to be like, here, let's get this game out of the way. With that, I would like to move on to another WWB thing. We're just on the roll. We're on the rant, and that is the summer or our November Natural Selection November Cup, if I can do it right. So WWB Untap. It's been posted in the Discord, and basically, I was given the go ahead to be able to throw on ranked tournaments, and so of course with that ability, I threw on a tournament as soon as I could, and so here we are. Basically every month moving forward, I would like to have an online ranked tournament for people to play. Kind of back to that thing Billy was saying with the league. I think that it's also just a great thing to have it where we can have people from all over the United States. I would say mainly. I don't know if I can't really use the word globe yet, but the United States, to let them all have the ability to play their games and get into a league that, or into a tournament that could help with their ranks, help get them to Ward Bowl, give them all those opportunities. And so, I really do want to push this hard, and just hopefully a lot of people, grab onto this. And again, I think the barrier to entry is the whole Untapped, figuring out how to play online, because I think that is the biggest question I've been getting is how do you even play online? I didn't know Ward was online. All these things, which I really hope get solved. I mean, at some point, I'm sure the Ward staff will be able to create their own app and things online too, so that'll also hopefully help. But right now, those are kind of the things that we're utilizing Untap as a source to play these tournaments. And so, what are your guys' thoughts about a ranked online tournaments for WWB?
I think the ranked for those is going to be great. Like you're saying, the ability for me to log into a tournament and play against what Alec Kermit. He lives out in California. I'm never going to be able to play against him otherwise. And he's a guy that does fairly well. He's on the leaderboard. So for anybody on the leaderboard, or even if you're not, I just feel like the ability to be able to play anybody who's in the Ward community is a great thing for the ranking chart at the top. It can really mix things up, playing against people that are from all over and not just in your area.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with that. And like you said, that's kind of the whole concept, all right? We have a lot of Ward players all over, and I think it's awesome to give them I would say, honestly, the most competitive environment possible, right? Because it's in this tournament, everyone has the ability to play in it. Obviously, again, you have to own cards. The physical card thing is always going to be something, because here's the thing, if I did a tournament where everybody could have every card in the library, people could just flip their decks, and I would have no way to track it. And so unfortunately, that is one of those things where it's like I do have to have some way to know what your cards are that are in your deck. And to be fair to all those people that have collect cards that are, you go to any other tournament, you have to have the card. So it's like I think it's only fair that that has to just kind of be a rule when it goes to like these ranked tournaments. How about for you, Billy? What's your thoughts with the online ranked tournaments?
Yeah, I love that you're wanting to throw one a WWB tournament ranked official every month. I think that's awesome. It's made for Curious Crow, having them do a monthly tournament. It's awesome because it's like I get all these opportunities like pretty local to like go and do a tournament, and it's great because it's right here and it's easy. I don't have to travel 2, 3, 4 miles or hours to do that. Um, And so to have another option where it's like, cool, I could play it from my living room. Like, yeah, I love that. And so ease of use and also playing other people, like Casey said, I love being able to play people way far away that I wouldn't normally get to. So I think it's all good things. So, and you're saying you take a picture of your deck, you have to own the cards for this one, right?
Yep. Yeah. You will have.
Yeah, that makes
to have the
sense.
physical.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's ranked, it's official. Your counts towards the rankings.
Exactly.
I get the staff wants you to own the cards. It's
No,
their
100%.
cards. So.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like you said, I mean, it's good for all those people who've collected the cards, because they've put in that commitment, and this gives them that opportunity to use those cards in theory, obviously online, but having basically just putting them in place of that. But then also for people who maybe they want to build up their collection. Now this gives them a reason to be like, all right, maybe I should get more invested into Ward, right? Maybe I should go buy those packs so that I can eventually, compete in these tournaments and feel like I can, best even KC or Billy Hughes or any of these people that, are the competitors. But like you said, it just gives them all that ability. And I think that's like the biggest thing. It's like people, who knows, maybe there's somebody out in, I don't know, Arkansas or whatever, and they're like, they don't have any, like you said, they don't have anyone to play with. I know, I took a random state, but you get what I'm saying. It's like some small town, somehow they've gotten a hold of Ward, and it's just like, here, now they actually can have an outlet to play this game, right? Because like, they probably don't have a bunch of local people around that can play with them, and so it's like, I want to give them that opportunity, and I think just in general, I want to make sure everyone can play ranked games and work towards that Ward Bowl, because I think that moment, I mean, I remember being in the first Ward Bowl. It's like how special that moment is for Ward history, and it's like I want everybody to have that opportunity who can, so it's like that's kind of the whole goal of these tournaments. And obviously again, double bracket elimination. There's a couple other things going on with it, but like I said, I think going forward, just having one of these every month just gives people that opportunity, and I would gladly kind of give my time up to let people have that opportunity. And so yeah, I guess that's kind of my gist with it. But again, register. I also will say make sure you register before that Friday. So Friday the 21st, you got to get it in by the end of that day. And so if you have any questions, reach out to me, Billy, Casey. I'm sure would even be willing to kind of help you if it's like Untap things. I mean, we have tons of people that play Untap, so it's like definitely if any of those things scare you, it's just we got tons of people in the community that are definitely willing to help you for that. And we want everyone to play in this tournament, so don't feel like even if you don't have all the legendary cards. I've been the guy who's been at a tournament with not all the legendary cards, and I've placed pretty well in them, as long as you can kind of do your best to utilize what you got. And I think that's the fun award for sure. And there's always cards like Irresistible Love.
So how do you register?
Oh yeah, to register, yeah. So you're gonna message me. First, you have to. There's a $15 buy-in, and so either Venmo, PayPal. You can basically, whatever way you want to get it to me. Even if for some reason you don't have one of those means, obviously talk to me too, and we can figure out something else. I don't want the whole money thing to really be a big deal. Obviously, it's kind of mainly to go towards the prize pool, because it is like a prize pool event. So everybody's entry fee, $10 of it goes to the prize pool, and then basically like you need to also get a photocopy, like we were just saying, a physical copy. You have to send me a picture of your deck, of your cards, the 30 cards that you're going to use, and then you also have to give me your name, your full name. The reason why the name thing is so important is because the ward staff needs to make sure that they get the right. We don't want to be using a bunch of different names. They want the names that they're going to have in the rankings. So if you want to come in and keep using different names, it's going to not be great for you because your ranking probably won't reflect the way it needs to. So I really push that when you send me in your names, those are the names that you want as your ranked names with all the ward of ranked events going forward. So make sure you do that. Put your name in. Put your Untap name in, so we just have that, so we can connect, make sure we have everybody who is everybody, and I can keep track of those things. And then other than that, that's basically it. Like I said, and those are kind of the things you got to do to register, and then you're just waiting until the 22nd to play. And so yeah, get everybody to that. So that is how you join up and play in the November Cup. How was that, Billy? You think I think I covered it all pretty well there. But yeah, like I said, double bracket elimination. Obviously, I don't think anyone's gonna cheat. I know I've gotten a couple people that are like, oh, like, do we have to have cams or do we have to have ways for like people to see us? And it's like, no. I mean, I think it'll be pretty obvious if people are cheating. I mean, it's a dice game. If someone is constantly rolling perfectly dice for 2 matches in a row or something, I think we'll be able to tell. And either way, I don't think anyone is going to put that much effort into it, but I mean, we'll have to see.
Well,
But obviously, there are rules in place, so please do not try to cheat. Obviously, it's easily said. Don't. Why do that? We're all just trying to
Also,
have fun.
Harry's going to be. So you're submitting your decks, and also Harry's going to be popping into the matches and checking graveyards, hands, decks as it goes. So if anything doesn't match up, not worth it. Just play the game.
No,
we're having fun.
Well, like you said, I'll be reffing it, and I think the best thing too about this is if we get a ton of new people, it's like having the resources of like me or Billy to be like, here, let's answer these questions that people just have in general too. I think that's also the great thing of just having us be, able to ref these games, able to put on this stuff is just the more people that get informed with Ward and how it's played, I think it'll be good because I know it's still kind of new and there are a lot of people with those questions of like, oh yeah, like this is how we play it at, my house, or this is how we play it with our rules, but it's like those don't always match the official rules, I guess, of which we kind of like play by. So it's just kind of a nice way for all of us to teach a bunch of new warlords, as the ward staff would say, to learn the game. Any other things you guys want to touch about online tournaments or any of those topics? No? All right, I think we will move on to a fun topic. So we did bring up in the Twin Con, or the Twin Cities, they're showing remastered cards, and I was kind of interested to get your guys' takes on the remastered card, the artworks, all those things. The little definitions on some of the words that they have to make sure that they stand out, so people kind of know like, oh, this is what this means. This is what this means, and it's a little more clear, right? And so, what's your guys' first initial takes on the Ward remastered cards? Maybe Billy, we'll start with you first, if that's okay, and then we'll get Casey's take.
Yeah, for sure. I will. I'll just kind of go over real quick. I'm looking at a Gen 3 card, one of the ones they posted. I'll just kind of go over the general updates that I see. So first and foremost, there's more cracks and stuff to the side of like the creature cards and the magic cards. So they look a little bit more broken up. They added, they put, let's see, on the magic cards, there's the infinity symbol is bigger. I think the eye and the lightning symbol are also a little bigger too, so it's easier to see from the get-go what card is and easier to identify it. And then also in the text on the bottom of the card where it describes what the card does for magic and also for creature effects, they've added some like Equip has its own little Equip box logo now. They've added some coloring to the text to help point to different parts of the card. So I think it makes certain things pop more, and overall it's a nice little makeover. So I'm fine with it. For the promo cards, they just added more color to the text and also highlight. I think there was some text Like for example, let me see if I find Scarlet. Yeah, there we go. So Ryan posted. They made the text, the name bigger. They made some of the AL speed and HP. They made that have a better outline. Yeah, I think what they've done is just redo how the text and some of the icons appear on the card, and it just makes the whole thing pop more. It's easier to read, honestly. So the like for example, the Scarlet promo, the older edition is all yellow text. You can read it, but you kind of squint. The new one, it pops like one dice plus four. It's really easy to see. The text for what the effect does is a lot bigger. So yeah, I think overall it just makes it pop more. It makes it more individual. Looks like they've also done a little backlighting for the type of creature type as well. So I don't know. That was a lot to say. Maybe you'll have to post like put on the screen like these cards I'm talking about. But
Yep.
yeah, a little bit of a remake.
No, exactly. I mean, what is there anything that like really stands out to you that you're like, ooh, that was like a really good, adjustment or change that they made from the old cards? I know you kind of brought up the whole Scarlet text thing, but is there something that like you're like, ooh, going forward, this is really gonna make Ward like stand out from other TCGs or other card games?
Let me pull up. Um, yeah, I already thought it kind of did. The symbols in the top right for Magic being a lot bigger, I think, is really helpful, and also putting the keywords and the colors and the text is pretty unique. So I like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of little changes that come together for a big positive.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. All right, Casey, what's your feel on the remastered Ward cards?
Yeah, I like Billy said, it's a lot of little changes. They're little changes, but there's so many of them, it adds up to a lot. So, and I think they're all good. That crack in the top separating, a card's name and then its, armor, speed, and hit points, just giving you a little bit more defined of a box of, this is where your name is, this is where your stats are. I think that's a great change. Then yeah, then highlighting key words, like the important, like key functional words of the game, having them highlighted in different colors in the text box so they just pop. So, you know what your card is doing. Like, kind of like you said, Harry, like, I don't think I've ever seen another card game do that. Like, as far as I know, every card game I've ever looked at, like, your text box is your text box and everything's basically printed in black, for almost everything. So yeah, having keywords in a different color that just pop out so you really you really understand it. Yeah, I think that's a great change. I think it's super unique. I like that Ward. I like that Ward. Like those guys aren't afraid to go ahead and make some changes. Like uh, just kind of throw it out there, see what works. And honestly, I think the things they think up are all generally positive so far. So it's I feel like they make good changes when they decide to make some changes.
No, I really like that. I mean, is there? Yeah, I mean, you kind of said yeah the things that you notice that like stand out a little bit. Is there one thing that maybe just personally you like about the remastered compared to like before? Is for you, Casey? Or don't
Uh,
like? Sorry,
yeah,
maybe I should make sure I give you each evenly.
actually, with the remastered stuff, I don't really. There's nothing that I dislike about it. I actually like all of the changes that they're making to the cards. Like I've talked to Joe about it, and he's just trying to, um, make Ward its own style. Like if they're like their own cards pop. Like when you see them, people just instantly think, oh, that's a Ward card just because of how it looks. Like there's no confusing it for other things. Like I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh in my life, but when I started playing this game, I heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, these look like Yu-Gi-Oh cards." Like I never really looked at Yu-Gi cards, so I just have to take their word for it. But now that Joe's making these changes, yeah, it's like they're trying to get further away from the similarities of looking like that, I guess. And I think it's a great thing. Like I think they've done a good job with how they're looking now. Like I like it.
Yeah, no, and I think I agree with you. I think it does kind of give it its own identity, I would say. I do think that is always just a big thing, even with the cards before these remastered, that I find, in the Discord and when people talk about it, like new people get into the game, that's usually one of the reasons they do get into the game, right? It's like, oh, this reminds me of, the comics I used to read or the things I used to, I just like, a lot of people say they like the feel of Ward. And I guess, that is one thing where it's like, I'm hoping that the reaction to these remastered is still that feeling. I hope it doesn't make it lose that feeling either, like that. I guess that's, if I was just to talk about my one little thing of like, ooh, like, hopefully people vibe with this still, right? Like, and I feel like for you guys, it's like you've seen the old cards, you've seen the new cards. I mean, do you both kind of vibe with like just the fact that it still kind of keep its identity when they're moving on to this new remastered?
I think it does.
What about you, Billy? Do you think
Okay.
oh,
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Can you hear me? All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be honest, I think the cards are fine. I like the updates. I like what they're doing with it. When you get to the point where you play with them enough, I don't read the cards anymore. I don't read the effects anymore. I just look at the picture and know what it does. So, which is why when we got the first edition, the second edition for Gen 1, it took me a minute to like catch up because I was like, well, I know all the cards, but they look different, you know. So I mean, they can change the text however they want. They can make they can add a bazillion cracks. If they want to stylize it and make it its own, that's great.
it
At the end of the day, I'm just going to learn what the cards do, and I'm going to look at funny picture and say this picture does this. So
I have to tangent. I mean, if you really think about back at the their first original printing of the card and stuff, and it's just like how far they've come from that, right? I mean, I don't know. Like obviously you were there for like Gen 1, like print or what do you call it, like first edition. Like first edition, I mean, I think as much as Joe probably really likes that they were able to make all those cards and he was kind of had a big hand in it. I think with with Fabricio's art and everything going into these cards, I think there is quite a compare and contrast to those cards from now. I maybe I should do that. I should put like the different how the cards have like progressed throughout the throughout the transition to this point. And I think yeah, it is kind of crazy. Like
well, you look at like old logos for companies, old logos for colleges, old logos for you know whatever, and you see like their logos through the years, and it's like, yeah, they had a different style back then, and it looked a lot different. You would never do that today, but they evolve and they get better and they get more sleek and they and that's definitely happened with the ward cards. So it's in a good direction.
mhm. Do you guys? I guess another thought that comes to my mind. Do you think that these cards are like this style, or like the way that they've kind of remastered this? Do you think this is kind of where they're gonna sit for a while, or where you think that they'll probably maybe keep it for like you were saying, Billy? I know they've kind of been doing a lot of transitioning and switching up how they want the look to look. But I think do you think this might be where they sit now and they just say, hey, this is a ward card. Like people are gonna recognize this as the ward card.
Yeah, I hope it now that how they're gonna make Gen 3 look. I hope it sticks that way for a while. Like I said, I'm cool with the changes. I like the changes that they've made. It's just I don't want them to make changes like too often. I guess you could say like every single set's gonna look different. Different card frame, different style. Like I don't know. Like I guess I'm not a fan of that if that's how it's gonna go. Like I just
Hmm.
you want the game to look like the game. And if you constantly keep changing it, I mean, maybe you could say that's kind of a bad thing. If you constantly keep changing how it looks, then people just might not be familiar with it, won't ever get familiar with it if everything keeps looking different every time a set comes out. So, I
Mhm.
mean, they kind of got to get to a point where it's, hopefully it stays the same, maybe forever or at least for a very long time before they make some more sweeping changes across the card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'd certainly like it to stay the same. Um, uh, you know, every set it has changed so far. So if you ask me, is Gen 4 going to be different? I'd say yeah, because they change it every time. But maybe that's just because it's the beginning of the game and they're just trying to find their look. So um, I certainly hope we stick to whatever Gen 3 is going to be. I'd like it to stay the same too, Casey.
The changes between Gen 2 and 3 are very minor in comparison to how changes
Yeah,
were
that's
between
true.
Gen 1 and the second print of Gen
Gen
1.
2.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
for
the
sure. Yeah, I
changes
agree with
hopefully
that.
the changes going forward are a little more minor and less noticeable, less you know less standoutish. The card generally looks pretty well the same. So,
Right.
but little things that have made it just pop a little better, like we've all said.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess I kind of want to just give my take. I mean, overall, I come from the competitive side, and just it feels like this is the kind of change, this remastered, that is really going to get. I've always been preaching or pushing for, like, hey, Ward needs to kind of standardize the rules. They need to standardize these things, these mechanics, this stuff. And I think I'm hoping that, like you said, with this remastered with Gen 3, this will kind of be the era of Ward where they crack down and kind of really be like, okay, this is how this effect works. This is how this mechanic works. This is how these things are. This is kind of how we can structure our rules of our game to make it very. Because I think if there's one thing that I think Ward just needs to, like, crack down a little bit on, is just getting those rules very flushed out. Because as much as I love it being like, oh yeah, just kind of read it and play it as it is, and I'm someone who trips up on the extended text, and I think going forward, I don't want there to have to be this book of like extended text of how to play Ward, because it's like I not that it's the biggest turn off, but it is one of those things where it's just like I want the cards to kind of show you what you're able to do with them, and I don't want there to have to be like all these like, oh wait, but that's not how this works, or that's not how that works. And like as they're going, it looks like Gen 3, they've gotten, like I said, they've really like highlighted the things they want you to pay attention to. Here's modifier, here's this, here's that, which I love. And I think these are things that will really help them like crack down on rules and make sure that it's like, all right, our game is now in a position where people don't have to question what a card does or how these things should interact, right? And it's like, for me, competitively, I think that is probably the biggest thing that hopefully will come out of this remaster, is that people will be able to, just kind of be like, all right, this is how this card works. This is what I'm going to do with it. This is how this will function. And I think that's something that I think Ward will really benefit from by having this remaster.
Yeah,
I got two
there's one
things to
thing.
add. Yeah, I got two things. Actually, the first one's a question to Casey. Hey, how long's the Magic official rule book so far?
Oh
How many pages is
God,
it?
I haven't looked at it in so long. I haven't looked at it in so long. I don't know, but I've been playing Magic for so long. I don't have to look at it. Like I know how
I'm pretty
everything
sure it's
works.
close to 900 pages. So, you
It's
know,
pretty darn big. Yes, it's very big.
it, that's on the scale of a religious book, right? So, and Ward's rule book so far is like 33 pages. So I think we're doing okay. And a lot of it's just really big pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the second thing I'll add is that um, the card text, there's not enough room to sufficiently put everything on it. So there will just always be extended descriptions. And I think that's a good thing because you don't want to have to make everything fit on the card for how it works, because that's how you get into Yu-Gi-Oh land where you need a magnifying glass to read the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's in a great spot because 95% of what the card does is on the card. And if there's some weird interactions where it's like, well, I don't really understand how that works, then that's where the extended description comes in. That's like the I'll call it like the extended rule guide, which is what I like to point to, because every time someone has a question, I'm like, oh, well, double hit. I killed the creature on the first hit. Do I get to attack again? I don't know. Let's go look it up. Yes, you do. It
Mm.
explains it. Because if you try to fit the whole paragraph onto that little thing, that's if they want to make the cards look like Yu-Gi-Oh, they can start doing that. I don't
No,
know.
I get that. I just think, if this game, I do think it's one of those things where I agree with you. I don't want to have a pound of text on there. But I do think that just with this remastered, at least, this will probably be a point where they do crack down a little bit on, like, okay, let's make sure that the wording on these cards all match up, right? It's like there isn't these, as much as we love our flavor text, this effect is this effect. And like I said, every card that says that wording is how that effect works, right? I guess that's more of my point. Not so much like everybody, like you said, you have to get every ounce of text and have everything in there. But you know what I mean? Like, I think it's better to just make sure that, like, we don't have all these different effects that are like wordings that sound really close together, but they don't all do the same thing. And that's like I'm thinking that this remastered version of the game will kind of flush that out a little bit for Ward, and I'm excited for that. Like I said, as a competitive player, I think that really helps the competitive scene of Ward.
Well, one thing that I've got to add to that I so far that I'm not a fan of, like Harry, that I wish was more well defined, is it seems to be there's a good handful of cards in Ward that say you are pretty vague. They're just like, do this on your turn, or do this on your opponent's turn, like, and that's it. They're not very well defined. So does that mean, you know, do I wish they were like, so you just have the option to, like, do it whenever you want on their turn. Like, I wish some of the things were a little more well defined, like, do this thing after your opponent draws a card. Do this thing after your opponent, or after combat. Just do these things at these certain, like, these certain things trigger at these certain times, not just totally open to whenever you want on the turn. Like, I feel like that's a little loose, and I just wish it was a little bit more well defined. I think one
Well,
that jumps out at me is like the card Forest Fire. You know, Obviously, I guess strategically the best time to roll for that would be after combat. If I guess, or
the
if I had the
so
option, I could roll for it and have my creature die before combat and then play a new one, kind of thing. I mean,
it's
I wish it
covered.
was a little more well defined.
Forest fire is covered in the rule book. So any dot effects you roll for them at the end
Yeah,
of the combat
after
phase.
combat.
So you do combat, and then you do all dot rolls. So forest fire roll falls into that.
That's fair,
Kraken's effect
but
falls into
but
that.
you could understand, Billy. Like, I think what Casey's just trying to get at is, like, make sure that is a well defined thing of, like, all they have to say is just after combat, right? That's all they have to. And again, I know we don't want to make it
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's like, just like, this happens after combat, And,
Yeah, at the end of combat. Yeah,
right.
sure, you
yeah,
could
just
add that.
Just have
a
those
few more, like
little
three, four more
texts.
words on text. Yeah, 3 or 4 more words on the card when to
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Then
Because
You
it
know,
just gets rid of all
the
that.
very
It just
first
gets rid of all
time,
the gray area. Then, yeah, for sure.
yeah, the very
yeah. I
first
mean,
time I played
they
that card, I did it at the, you could say the wrong time. And then I asked Joe once, and he said, "Play it as it reads." And I was like, "Well, I'm just going to do it whenever I want because it just says do it on your turn."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well,
you
I
know,
mean,
yeah,
no, I mean, it is correct to play the card as it reads, because a lot of Ward just playing at home is loosey goosey. But I mean, yeah, in an official ranked tournament setting, you want to play the card correctly. Uh, Another one, just to like piggyback off, they have the card, they have the phases defined at the turn, so like they can start getting nitty gritty at any point. Um, Another one I see played incorrectly a lot is any kind of negate card and attack negate that says on hit. Because what people
Mm.
will do is they'll hit you and then they'll roll for damage, and then the damage is too high, and then they'll have
Yeah.
I'll play Melody of the Deep.
Which actually makes some of
And
the
or we'll
negate,
play
which actually makes some of the other negates stronger because they are after damage, right? So it's like you're right. I think it's
Correct. Yeah.
something that is
So to play the card correctly, you have to play it after they hit, and they can't roll their damage yet. So, which means you can't wait to find out what the damage is.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, some of them say
in a
on hit,
tournament
and some of them
setting,
say after the attack is finished.
Yep.
finished. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, which is great. We want that. We want clarity at the card. But when you're playing it at home, if someone misses it, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. But in a tournament setting, I'm going to call it out. Like, no,
Yeah.
you got to
Well,
do it on hit.
at the highest
Too
level,
late.
though, it's like that's what separates those cards, right? It's like that's what's like, oh yeah, this is how this card functions at that level, and this is how it doesn't. And like you said, not everybody in Ward needs to know that, but for competitive players to just like you said in the competitive scene again, that's kind of what I focused on. It is good to have
Yeah.
those clarities because it's only going to make it more and more beneficial when it comes to tournaments and things and being like, oh yeah, why are they putting this card instead of that card, right? Why aren't they using Melody of the Deep? Oh, because that negate doesn't let them wait till the very end of damage to see what the rolls are. It's like things like that, which I think at a high level is kind of interesting for a lot of people that get into the game who want to be competitive in the game. And so it's like, yeah, I kind of just agree with that too. But I do think this remastered is going to, like I said, hopefully also be that kind of like start to like, all right, let's crack down on these things. And like I said, I mean, just looking at some of these cards, that is what exactly it looks like they're trying to do. Make it clarify up a lot of those things and just highlight the things that it's like, here, these are the words you need to pay attention to, to make sure you understand how all this stuff works. And so it's like, I think they're moving in the right direction. And again, I think artwork is phenomenal. I think the lighting on the cards, like it seems like the lighting keeps kind of getting more and more light as it goes, which is cool. I like the bright aspect to Ward. It brings brightness to me, and so I like that it's got the brightness. I'm curious what they're gonna look like with the foil on them. The shinies versions of these cards will be very interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the remastered. As somebody
I'm
who
glad you're excited.
yeah, as somebody
I'm
who
glad you're
owns.
excited since. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, as someone who owns a lot of cards that are before the remastered, I am curious how this will kind of affect the Ward market. I mean, we all have seen like Gen 1, Edition 1, and all these things, and it's just like now, I mean, all the cards that are technically being held by everybody at this moment, once the remastered starts, it's like we're all holding kind of like retro cards in a sense. So it's like, eventually are they going to kind of phase out these cards? Obviously it's going to be like, can you play these at tournaments? Can you, things like that? Can you only use the remastered versions pretty soon at tournaments? Like, I guess those are the couple questions. I'm just, Billy, I'm looking towards the future. I'm just saying, I think as Casey puts a good point, there's going to be a point where we're in Gen 4 or 5, and if some person, which I know they love that they have their, you could call it alternate artwork, but they have their Gen 1 Edition 1 card, and you bring that to a tournament, and people are like, that doesn't look like Ward, and they're going to be like, what the hell is that card? And it's just like, I don't think Ward should have that be a thing they should worry about. But you're totally, Billy, I feel like I know what camp you're in, and I don't know, just as KC, it's like, for competitiveness, I really do think at some point they're gonna have to be like, here, only the remastered cards. That's my opinion. That's my hot
So,
take.
let me get this straight. All the cards that I've purchased, ignoring first edition, all the cards I've purchased, all the cards you've purchased, all the cards Casey has purchased, all the cards everyone in the community has purchased are not playable anymore because they don't match the rematch. That's what you're advocating for.
I think if they
That's
have been
stupid.
you can say it's stupid, but I think if they
No.
haven't been adjusted, like if people are bringing old assassin, it's just too much things that new players might get messed up by, and I think if anything has been fixed, at some point you can't let that stuff be in tournaments because it's going to
You
cause.
play with it today. You play to the new standard. It's not a problem.
I just think if anything has had changes, it needs to be
Magic
adjusted.
already does this and has been doing it for forever. Ever since like its second or third year, Magic has been around. When fourth edition for Magic came out, which was in 1995, just 2 years after Magic started, fourth edition was out, and a lot of cards got their text cleaned up for what they do because they were just worded terrible and they were confusing. So yeah, they did a complete, retext of tons of cards and their, functionality to clear it up on what they did. But that still didn't, that they didn't lock out people that, just owned cards from the first three sets of Magic. Like, you could still show up to a tournament and play with your card, was worded like a total mess, and did, but they run the game off what they call oracle texting. If there's any discrepancy, you can just call over the judge and be like, "Hey, what does this card do? What does this card really do?" And then the judge can tell you, and then that's how it's played. So that'd be the same thing for Ward. If I show up at a tournament and Billy shows up with his first print assassins, they don't have those extra dice and whatever. You go off of what the card most recently functionally is in its extended text. The judge could just be like,
If
"Nope,
you
your
ask,
assassin rolls 3 dice."
yeah, exactly. And I mean, if it's really a problem, I'm an advocate for if you play with not like let's just call it and say, okay, everyone who has not remastered cards, they're a problem now. Oh, they're a problem. Then you have to bring, if you're going to play with an older set card that got changed, you have to bring a printout of the new card on a paper and say, okay, here's what the current rule set says. If you have a question, here you go. We can also call a judge. I paid for the cards. I'm going to play with the cards. If you don't want me to play the game, okay, I'll leave.
Yeah. No, again, it's just something that I'm not totally saying that I don't disagree with you, Billy. I want you to play your cards, and I think a lot of the old artworks are really cool. I've seen some of these cards that have come out, and I'm like, yeah, if I could have an alternate artwork that's just that version of it, I would take it. Because you know what? I like to be goofy sometimes with the way my cards look, and some of those first editions,
Yeah, ignore first edition. You're advocating for all the current print cards.
yeah, well, I'm
Don't
just
play with
saying
them
at some
because they're not
point.
remastered.
Well, I'm just saying at some point, I think that those cards will be filtered out a little bit just because of like, again, it's like, at least I think, again, I'm not saying they have to do that, but I just think overall it'll get filtered out in that way. And like you said, I want the people to play their
No.
cards. And hey, I'm holding a bunch of, yeah, like you said, I collected the foil. I would love to be like, oh yeah, I can play these all the time. And it's like I totally get where you're coming from, Billy. I'm not saying that is how it has to happen. I just think this is something in the future that just with these remasters, they're gonna have to. These are questions and things. I'm just trying to stir up that conversation of like this is stuff that could potentially come up because it's just something that I see as in the future that they're definitely going to have to maybe have a conversation about or talk about. But with the remastered, I think it's great. I think it's all good stuff that they're moving towards.
So, about 10, 12 years after Yu-Gi-Oh! Released, they've released dozens and dozens of sets at this point, and the people who made the game said, okay, when we first made this game, we didn't know as much as we did now, and we kind of need to rewrite everything, kind of like Casey say in the fourth edition of Magic. And they basically reworded every single card to be standardized, kind of what you're talking about. They standardized all the cards to have similar nomenclature to make more sense. So because some of them had really goofy effects that could be interpreted three different ways. So they rewrote them all, they re-standardized, they re-released them all. But guess what? The people who owned the cards before, they could still play them because what do? You play to the new set. You play how it's currently written. They didn't say, okay, guys, thank you for making Yu-Gi-Oh! What it is today. You can't use your cards. You have to buy the new ones or you can't play them. No, they didn't do that. They said if you're going to play with the old ones, you got to play the new set. Magic, if you play the old ones, you got to play the new set. Whatever it is, you just got to play to the new ruling. Not you have to go buy the cards again. That's crazy. That's how you get people to leave the game.
No, that's fair. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's a fair take. I'm posting all. I love these conversations. I love getting Billy heated up, and I think it's good stuff to talk about because, like you said, if we don't talk about this stuff, it could just get forgotten. And then, like you said, the ward staff or whoever, it's like we're not getting our messages across, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe they are like, oh, our community doesn't care if we just make it remastered only, and then they do, so it's like it's good to have vocal people step up and say, hey, we want to help with the direction of board, and we think this is a positive outcome forward. And like you said, I agree with you. I think it is positive to have these cards available, and we're still pretty new into the game, so it's like, I don't see why it's too big of a deal. I will just say, like, Gen 1 first edition reprint, or like first edition print and everything, compared to what we're looking at right now with remastered, it's quite a night and day, a little bit difference in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
do
but
get a.
you just play with it. You just play to what the card says today. It's not a big deal.
No, I get that, and like I said, it's just, again, it's something that might come up. But either way, I mean, remastered. We're all looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll definitely be getting some packs of the remastered stuff. I know, Casey, you brought it up too when we were talking about it. It's nice that they're allowing people to be like, oh yeah, the 150 you can get with either the remastered and the cards that already exist if you're in Gen 1, Gen 2, which it's like it is very good, because I didn't want a bunch of people to be like, oh, I just got into the game, I just started trading, buying legendaries and all, giving away all these cards, trying to hit the 150, and then it's like, oh wait, now I can't. No longer is there any more of these cards to really hit these 150s, right? But it's like, oh, now they've made it allowed for those players to be like, oh yeah, you can have the remastered version of this card and the regular version, and that still makes you the 150 as long as they're of the same generation, which is nice. And I think that that is a good thing and a positive thing that they are doing that. And then on top of it, I mean, like I said, it makes the cards more valuable that aren't gonna be remastered. And like I said, hopefully they keep this the remastered set as kind of like the way they're going forward, because like I really don't think they need to change it up too much more. Like I said, if I had to look to the future, it's like, what else could they even really adjust on cards to kind of like make them better? I mean, like you said, those clarification things, it looks like they're kind of already doing. I mean, is there anything you guys just like going forward think that is like, oh, like, is there any other reason they might have to like change their their remaster? Whoever wants to take it.
There's one, just personal opinion. There's just one thing on the ward card that like I would move if I could, um, and that's where the creature symbol is located on the card. Right under the name, right above the artwork, you got your creature symbol there. So it's pretty much locking out that entire bar all the way across the card. And if the creature symbol were moved below the artwork, next to the card number and the rarity, it would just let you shift the artwork that much higher up the card.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I just think that's a better place for it. That's just personal opinion.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I also think the rarity is something that is very overlooked. I guess for me personally, is like, I know a lot of people are like, "Ooh, what rarity is this card?" And they kind of have to like check it, and a lot of people kind of like mistake it. I think it would be kind of cool if they just took the color around the border of the image and made that like let's say if we have an epic, it's like it's a purple border around it, or the legendary border. I think that would be a cool way to distinct cards, and a little easier for people to kind of tell than having these like rarity symbols. But I don't know. That's just kind of my own personal like something I think would be kind of cool if they just had the borders have like the rarities. It's like epics blue, uncommon's green, and then you could just use common as like whatever their standard one is, if you know what I mean. I think that'd be kind of cool. But what about for you, Billy? Is there anything that you feel like they might have to remaster the remaster for, or do you think that this is probably a pretty good setup for what they got?
I'm happy you're thrilled about the remaster since they're going to kill your birds. So
Who knows? Maybe
no, I think
maybe
it's
they'll bring
fine.
back some more Elkanos. They'll feel bad for the birds. And come on. I don't know. I secretly, this is a hot take, but we haven't really seen Gen 3 yet. But I think Elkanos will still be able to be played in Gen 3. I think there'll be
You
there.
play you play them all you want.
The Sky Rats are harder to get rid of than they look. All right, Billy. That's all I gotta say. You know what? We'll make them work. We'll make them work. But
Laughs and mistletoe.
But anyway, I think we covered the remaster pretty well there, guys. I appreciate that talk because I think it's a big thing, and I think not everybody thinks about all those aspects of what exactly a remaster like means, and so I think we did a pretty good job of covering it. With that, I think we should just get to the end of the show here. Final thoughts. Where are we at with Ward, guys? Maybe KC. Where do you want to start off? What's your kind of like feel right now for all these things that are going on? I'm sure you're reveling in the fact that you pulled the foil creator. I know you were really looking forward to it, man. And the last time I talked to you, you were just so down. You're like, I don't even know if I'll be able to finish a foil 150 of Gen 1. So, where are we at with Ward right now?
Yeah, I'm loving it more and more every day. Just yeah, just collecting stuff, man. Getting more and more and more and more. Yeah, the hitting the foil creator was absolutely huge for me. Yeah, I thought trying to put the foil 150 together, I thought I'd have to be begging and pleading with like one of the other three people that have one to pry it off their dead hands. So yeah, hitting it was great. I was super pumped. Yeah, I think Harry, you were the first person I told like 30 seconds after I ripped the pack open. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then 30 seconds after that, I told Billy, "I'm like,
It
dude,
happened.
look what I got." I was like, "Holy crap!"
And it really just sucks the breath. I remember the first creator. It's funny. The first box I opened up of Gen 1 reprint had a foil creator, and yeah, dude, like I was just like, oh my god, like and it's like now seeing how many boxes have been opened, and there's only been so many pulled. It's just like I wish everyone got to feel that feeling, but it's like unfortunately that is just hitting those rare cards, right? It's like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think Ward as a whole is in a great place right now. It seems to be taking off more and more. They're always posting in the Discord all the new shops that they're getting into. It just, yeah, I mean, I've only started playing this game back in March, so I've only been playing it like about 9 months now, and I feel like it's absolutely exploded even after I started playing it. So,
We're
I
on the
love
up and
that
up,
there's
up
just
and up,
to
baby. Let's
be
go. Turn the tides of war.
yeah, I love that there's constant people jumping in the Discord, being like, "Hey, I'm new here. What's going on?" Start asking all the questions that new people ask all the time, and it seems like a lot of the people aren't shy about posting their posts in the Epic Polls page, which is it's cool to see everything that everybody's getting. The community's great. Everybody's in there is everybody's always looking for something, and it seems like there's always somebody else in there willing to trade it away. So
That's
it's
it's nice that you
been a
say that
great
because
community so far.
it's nice that you say that, Casey, because I feel that same way, and I'm kind of curious for Billy. It's like, Billy, you've been here probably, you've been in the Discord the longest. It's like, how do you feel about the Discord right now? It's like, I remember there was a point where I joined, and it was like 202 members, and I was like, oh dang, can we double? Will it ever double? And as of yesterday, I think I checked it, it was at like 452 people, and I was like, there we go. We doubled it for sure. So I meant this community is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like, how do you feel about that, Billy? Too? I feel like it's probably a bigger thing for in your mind of where it started at and where it is now.
It's fun. I think the biggest kind of shock to me is when I started playing, it was only sold in Minnesota, essentially, and now seeing it basically almost in all 50 states is pretty freaking sick. So it's fun to go onto the where Ward is sold page on the website and just look at all the stores it's in all the states. It's pretty fun. And that reflects on the Discord as well. It's fun seeing all the new people like Casey mentioned.
Mm-hmm. No, and like you said, I just think a lot of people are coming in and being pretty engaged in, starting to, I call them the generations, like I think like Turn Hamkey, and I'm trying to think of a lot of those people that kind of, are just now joining and like getting into it, and they're trying to get their collections of their 150s. There's definitely a good handful of people. I'm spacing names right now because I'm on the spot, but I'm sure I could rattle off a list of 10, 20 people that I feel like it's like, oh yeah, these people are like pretty consistent. They're always talking, they're always chatting. I would like to say I came in with like the Boodle and the Nick, the raccoon enthusiast himself. That was kind of my generation. And yeah, Casey, you were kind of tailing there, and so it's like it's kind of cool to see these like layers of Ward as it like grows and gets bigger, and just like how like there's like the new groups of Ward people, and then pretty soon I think like you were saying, Billy, with it being in all 50 states, it's like here's the East Coast side of Ward, here's the West Coast side, here's all these different regions, and I think that'll be a really cool moment when they have to. It's so big they have to break it up into their own small sections, and so I think that that's definitely something I'm looking forward to, and obviously, like I said, having online tournaments, having ways for every person to be involved in activities in the Discord and in our community. I think if I'm gonna say, that's kind of where I would like to see Ward get to, and I think like with our tournament, with our leagues, with these things, if other people want to try to throw on these things too, I that would be awesome if there was like another group of people that start putting their time and energy into Ward, and so it's like I only see good things going forward. But with that, I think we kind of wrapped it up. Billy, do you have any little bit of your own final thought that you wanted to say, or do you think we covered everything pretty good? All right, well, with that, Casey, thank you for coming on. We always appreciate having you. Nice poll on that foil creator. I mean, it might be one of the last ones polled before they switch over to that remastered. So you know what? You were able to hit that. That's pretty nice. Oh yeah, we had the undead tournament. We didn't really cover that. I ended up winning it. I guess it'll be a quick ramble. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, undead creatures, like Casey said, the pool of cards are kind of small. So there was a lot of Vampire Lord decks. There was a lot of subject, 4-2 or 4-2-1-2.
1-2.
Yep, and basically pumpkin man deck, I guess is what we kind of call it. And then there was also what was the other deck? Oh, Zombie Dog, which KC was running. The dreaded Zombie Dog and equipments and speeding and making him go. But yeah, those were kind of the three decks that were like pretty prominent. I don't know if there was really much else that was there. I mean, Necromancer was a pretty viable thing. Well, we did have a thing where I'm a culprit. They were over there like, don't make sure everything's undead, and I forgot that Dark Lord was not a undead creature, and some reason in my head it was undead. Oh yeah. Big shout out to Undead Dragon, though. Undead Dragon was another card that I think seen a lot of play with being a 4/4. Very solid card in that tournament. But anyway, it was a fun one. We had 20 people show up, and it was a really good turnout. And Joe, the creator of the game, got to play in the tournament. So did Marty. And Joe technically took third. And we all had a really good time, and it was just nice to see that turnout. I mean, there was tons of people there that I don't think I've seen at many tournaments. So it's just, like you said, that new generation of people coming in is great. But either way, I had to chuck that in there. But with that, guys, that's episode 38. Thanks for, again, watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow all of our content. And with that, episode 38, have a good night, and we'll see you next week.